What I have today is two very dull kitchen knives. And what I want to do is I want to try to sharpen them. How dull are they? They are very, very dull. What I'm going to be trying out today is the Rehoo Pro. This is purchased off Amazon, and I will put a non-affiliate link down on the bottom. So what it comes with is you have a knife holder, which you can set to angles. You just give it a little push and you can set this for different angles, and we'll clamp that down on the blade. This thing, which I'm assuming holds the stones. We have the sharpening stones, the different grits and everything. So we'll be getting into that. It has a little rod that you can set your angle with. But here's some more of the sharpening stones, different grits. Now I think this kit's for larger bladed knives. So more like what your kitchen knife is. I don't think it's going to work well with, say, a pocket knife or like a 4-inch blade, or definitely a serrated blade. I've got a marker here. I'm going to mark the blade so I can see if the angle's correct as we're cutting. And then here's another screw-in thing. Oh, and the little pivot. Here is an illustration of how you should set this up. So I'm going to set this up on the table real quick, and then I'll be right back. Setup seems to be pretty easy. That's pretty much the setup of the unit. You have the part that's going to hold your stone, the little swivel, and you'll set the angle, and then we have the blade holder itself, which I have upside down. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and put a blade in here. I'm going to take a marker and I'm going to paint this edge of the blade. So I can see where the grinding stones are going to grab it. They start at 10,000, then they go increments of around 2,000. Here are these standing stones. We got 180 grit, 400 grit, 800 grit, 1500 grit, 2000 grit, 3000 grit. This one is another 3000, but it's a red stone. 5000 grit, 6,000 grit, 8,000 grit, and this is turning into like a quartz, and then 10,000, and this is like a marble or granite. I don't think we're going to go all the way up here because I don't want to get it like a razor blade. But we'll probably do the first 6 steps and see how sharp this gets. Now it's saying to take a digital level and make sure it's a 15-degree slope from here to there. I don't have a digital level, so that's why I went ahead and put the blue on there. So the one thing I don't really care for is you do have to use the Allen head to set everything up. So I'm going to go ahead and tighten this. And it's got spots for 2 stones, so I'm going to put 180 on one side, and I'll go ahead and put the 400 on the other. You have to hold both stones while you do that. And then we have to make sure that the blade is flush. So here's a diagram. What we're trying to do is we don't want that. We don't want it just on the tip, but we want it to be flush with this. So by putting the marker on there, I can kind of set the angle and get that correct. So I'm gonna get a little closer on this setup. All right, so what I'm trying to do is we're just gonna see where this is grinded. And I can tell right off the bat that it's not hitting where I want it to go. I'm gonna adjust this pitch a little bit. I'll lower it down, I'll tighten that. And then we'll go ahead and try to get on the blade. So let's see where this is. Still looks like my pitch is incorrect. I need to go down a little more. Okay, let's see what that looks like. And what we're trying to do is take that blue off. Okay. I'll tighten that a little bit more. Okay, we're still on the tip a little too much, but we're getting really close. It's almost dialed in. Let's try this right here. I think this is really close. Oh yeah. That's it. All right, now that I have these dialed in on the correct angle, I need to soak these stones in water. So I'm going to go ahead and take them loose, and I'm going to soak them in water, and the instructions say to soak it until it stops bubbling. So that's what I'm going to do. I think I'm only going to soak these for probably 10 minutes. All right, I'm just reviewing the instructions here. And it's saying if the knife is relatively blunt and the sharpness of the knife is required to be moderate, it can be done by sharpening the knife with 3 grain sizes of coarse, medium, and fine stone. So what they're recommending is that I start with the 120, move up to the 600, and then after the 600, move up to the 1200. And that will give me a moderate sharpness, which should be enough to cut through an onion. We're just going to go moderate because I don't really want to chop a fingertip off. I'm going to look and check on the stones, see if they're done bubbling, and then I want to go ahead and start sharpening this blade. All right, my stones are good enough. So I'm going to do the 180. And the 400. Whew, that's close. Didn't mean to do that. Okay, be sure you got a sure grip on these. After I get done with these, I will use the 1500 or 800 and the 1500. I'm going to use 4 stones to sharpen this blade. I think I'm going to adjust this handle a little bit too. I'm not liking where it's at. I'm going to go straight out with it. With the first cut. Okay, that's probably good enough on that. That was 400 or 180 grit. I'm switching over to the 400 grit. All right, switched over. Now I'm on the 800 grit. And we're gonna go ahead and try this out. I'm doing about 10 strokes on each one of these, just as a baseline. Oh, didn't want to do that. All right, just taking this loose right now. And I'm gonna wipe it off and we're gonna see how sharp it is on that piece of paper. All right, I got the blade out. This is a double-sided edge, but I just sharpened one side. So I can flip it, but I think just for this test, we're just gonna sharpen the one side. Okay. Back to the original piece of paper. Let's see how the blade does. Okay, I mean it's cutting. It's definitely sharper than what it was. The knife or the blade go in the opposite direction. You know, for this other side, I think I'm just gonna go with the 800, and then I'm holding the bottom one. It's got this little wedge. You just kind of wedge it in right there. I'm holding the bottom one, and you pull this little spring-loaded piece back. I'm going to insert the rod back. Okay, I'm going to set this off. Got a little water on that from the stone. But what I want to do is get the blue marker on this blade like I did on the other side. And we're going to check this pitch. Get this blue marker off and see if we're at the right angle. Okay, looks like I might need to drop it. Okay, so I dropped it there, probably 1/8 of an inch, maybe. Okay, oh yeah, we got her locked in now. So I'm gonna do this 800 grit until all that marker's gone. All right, I've switched over to the 1500 grit. We're gonna do 10 swipes of this. I think it's easier to go towards it. Well, I totally messed up on that one. That should be fairly moderately sharp blade. Let's do that paper test one more time on it. It's definitely sharp. I'd say that's a win. You can very easily just switch the blade around. There's your review of the Rehoo Pro knife sharpening set. I'd have to say that this is a pretty good set for the money, and I would recommend it.